You like my fancy lighter? Usually I just use a match, but I found this under the pulpit. Welcome to Community Church of Boston, that is. We come to you from Copley Square on a beautiful picture-perfect day of a picture-perfect weekend. We wish you a happy month of May and a happy Sunday. And we light this candle for peace, for unity, for community, and for sanity in the face of so much insanity on this planet. Insanity caused by humanity. You like my rhyming this morning? I'm just making it up as I go. Glad to see you today. It's getting warm, so I took my beautiful embroidered shirt off to expose my brand new black t-shirt, which says Candelas Guitars. It was given to me as a last gift from my friend Jim Thomas, who I visited in January. And after I left, he checked into a hospital and never checked out because he passed away. And this is my last gift from him. We visited a guitar builder in East LA, who's named, his last name is Candelas. So this is a t-shirt that has special significance to me as I remember my friend Jim Thomas. He was half Mexican-American, and what I inherited from him was a whole bunch of things like this memento here that has a skeleton playing a guitar. I have half of them are here at church, the other half are at home. All kinds of skeleton people and priests and brides and musicians in the wonderful Dia de los Muertos manner that Mexico celebrates and laughs and commemorates death. So again, I welcome you. We have a really interesting program this morning with Roger Kabler talking about Robin Williams. And I wanted to pair that with a little bit of wacko-ness from my favorite songwriter maybe on the planet. I've recorded a bunch of his songs, and not just wacko songs, but profound, beautiful anthems for the ages and songs commemorating all kinds of stuff. His name is David Dodson, and he's one of my best friends, and he lives in Camden, Maine, which is where he comes to us from this morning. And welcome, David. We want to start with a song from you. How are you today?
I'm unmuting myself, and I'm doing fine, Dean. I was going to interject humanity, insanity on the planety, but I didn't get a chance to, so now I'll do it. So I will grab a guitar and play a song for you. Let's make sure this is all sounding like it ought to. Play you a couple notes. La 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 la. Sounding okay?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
Great. I'm thinking about the fact that I might be thinking too much. I'm worrying about the fact that I might be worrying too much. It's not supposed to be good for you. It's not supposed to be good for you. I'm worried about the house. I'm worried about the car. Do I have enough wood to make it through the winter? I'm worrying 'cause this line is supposed to end in a rhyme. And if it don't, the song is gonna dissenter. Great. And speaking of things that do not rhyme, that tend to give me a terrible time, one that comes to mind is Colonel Sanders. And I hope my head does not explode, but like the chicken that crossed the road, that's the kind of place my mind meanders. I'm thinking about the fact that I might be thinking too much. I'm worrying about the fact that I might be worrying too much. It's not supposed to be good for you, no. It's not supposed to be good for you. I'm worrying cause it seems to me I'm not as thin as I used to be. Maybe I'm eating too many carbohydrates. I got a few pounds to lose. It's harder to tie my shoes. And all in all, I'm one of the larger primates. I'm thinking about the fact that I might be thinking too much. I'm worrying about the fact that I might be worrying too much. Not supposed to be good for you, no. It's not supposed to be good for you. I'm worrying about my side of the political divide. I'm worrying about the world and all of its creatures. Maybe I got myself to blame. I could get into the game, but mostly I'm just hollering up in the bleachers. Yeah, I'm tossing and turning in bed, thinking about what somebody said. I'd have a couple of beers, but I quit drinking. I think I'd be doing fine, except I'm thinking all the time. So I think I better think about giving up thinking. And I'm thinking about the fact that I might be thinking too much. I'm worrying about the fact that I might be worrying too much. It's not supposed to be good for you. 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 Ow, 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 ow.
David.
Thank you.
Thank you, David.
You're welcome.
Welcome to all these folks joining us both on Zoom and on YouTube. And welcome to all kinds of folks and some that are walking in physically to the room right here, right now. And we're having a happening at Community Church. I want to just make a few announcements. I just sort of realized that with the new generation of our Zoom and YouTube broadcasts that are all recorded for posterity until the CIA decides to take them down through Google, that you can make, usually you just make announcements about what's upcoming, but you can also make announcements about what just happened, which is just as marvelous as what's upcoming. And I urge you to check out, if you have any interest in Cuba or in incredible music, check out last week's program, which was a man named Ilmar Lopez Gavilan. He and his brother Aldo Lopez Gavilan were the subject of a wonderful documentary called Los Hermanos. And these are two world-class musicians. One of them lives in New York and one of them lives in Cuba. And about their desire to play together as brothers, despite the vicissitudes of the American politics, U.S. politics going up and down about visas and about travel. It's beautiful, and mostly it's just incredible music. You'd call it classical music, but it's not classical music from a bunch of European dead guys from 2 centuries ago. It's vibrant, alive with the soul and heart of Cuba and the manual dexterity of these two players, violin and piano. It's last week's program that we had here interviewing Ilmar, who is the New York brother. We also have had in the recent past, Ray McGovern. You should definitely take his presentation in. It's on our YouTube channel, giving you a different perspective about Russia and Ukraine. We have upcoming next week, we have two sort of comedic Sundays, today and next week. Randy Credico will be joining us live in person next week. So if there's ever one that you want to come in person and be at the church, next week will be a good one, because he will be with us live in person, and he's a comedian who has quite a history with the Boston scene. One of his best friends was Barry Crimmins, who was a friend to this church, spoke a number of times, and maybe it'll be our incentive to digitize some cassettes we have of Barry and put them online, because he's a funny political satirist who passed away about 3 years ago. So Randy Credico next week. And on from there, I want to tell you also about something new that we're doing every month. The second Saturday of every month from now on is Encuentro Cinco's Peña. P-E-N with a squiggle over it, A. Peña is a Latin American style open mic, and it's a chance for you to get on a soapbox and sing a song or read a poem or make a political statement or diatribe or whatever you want to do. It's open, and it's Latin American style. It's moved and shaped by Encuentro Cinco, that used to be another political organizing space in the city of Boston. They lost their space, and we gained their personnel, and some of them are on our board, and some of them are Latin Americans. We have 3 on our board, one from Costa Rica, one from El Salvador, and one from Mexico. And so that is next Saturday, Encuentro Cinco, Peña Latinoamericana, but you don't have to be from Latin America to participate. Everyone is welcome. There's wonderful food beforehand, and lots of great company, and a new thing we're going to do and announce, because we've had some really wonderful ones already. That's next Saturday, the day before Randy Credico, which is on Sunday, May 14th. Another little word in celebration of yesterday, which was the Wake Up the Earth Festival in Jamaica Plain. And I signed up to sell crafts and give out community church newsletters and sign petitions for the Holy Land Foundation 5, which was our last year's Sacco Vanzetti Award winner, and we are petitioning our decision makers to free the 3 of the 5 that are still in prison. To find out more about that, be in touch or look at our YouTube channel that has several submissions about the Holy Land Foundation 5. Anyway, I was there selling crafts from El Salvador and peddling community church and a few other things. And it was a long day, but a beautiful day, because it was such a beautiful day. And also because it's just a parade of people and conversations and their children and their dogs, and just a celebration, not only of spring, but also of that majestic thing that happened about 40 years ago, which was when the plan to build a huge interstate straight through the heart of several neighborhoods was taken down by the people, and it would have cut right through where the southwest corridor is right now, and it would have been a 10-lane highway, which would have destroyed Hyde Park, Roslindale, Jamaica Plain, Roxbury, the South End, all the way into here. And it was just a magnificent thing. And I'm just really wanting to do a program that celebrates that incredible triumph for the city of Boston. That has a few leaders who are getting on in their years, and we want to hear from them, like the likes of Mel King, who is of blessed memory now, and Byron Rushing, who spoke at Mel's memorial, and Femke Rosenbaum, the longtime director of Spontaneous Celebrations, which drives this Wake Up the Earth festival. every first Saturday of May. So I came away exhausted and had a wonderful day, but also just inspired by the activism in that Jamaica Plain neighborhood, and the number of young folks that were involved in this Encuentro Cinco, this spontaneous celebrations effort in this festival, and want to draw inspiration to get some of them to get involved in some of community churches' initiatives and become members here so that I can retire. Well, I want to talk about a few other things before we defer to David Dodson to deliver us some inspiration from his wacko brain, which we are celebrating today. Winona LaDuke is one of our sandwich board celebrities that we put out every once in a while. She spoke last year, and the word was that she was that all the charges against her for her activism in that Enbridge 3 pipeline have been dropped. So I thought I'd put that up. Also, down here is Visit Palestine, and I put that up in celebration of something I discovered this morning while waiting for the Home Depot to open so I could buy topsoil and manure. Sitting in my car was this program on Boston College. I've known about it for years, but it's called This Week in Palestine. And This Week in Palestine, sadly, was the death of Kader Adnan, who was a long-time political prisoner. He was on a hunger strike. And look up David Rovics's song about Kader Adnan if you're interested in finding out more about this political prisoner and so many more that are held by the apartheid state of Israel without charge. Administrative detention is what it's called, and it's a horrific thing. Let's see, what else do we got? Well, we've got the planet, of course, and no time to forget the planet. Get outside and celebrate this beautiful weather, and plant your garden, and think about what each one of us individually can do to reverse the climate catastrophe. And that's a big, huge thing to think about. And it has so many different consequences and so many things that can be done at the individual level, at the church level, at the city level, at the state level, at the federal government level, at the planetary level. So it's something to keep thinking about and keep as part of our ongoing thought and passionate subject matter in this church. Come any Wednesday to Community Church for our noon open house. We will give you a tour of the building. It's 5 stories tall, and we'll specially focus on the 5th story, which houses our archives, which are sort of in disorder, but we're making slow sense of putting them together and preserving them and protecting them and making them available for scholars and other interested people to see our magnificent 103-year history. The most recent thing we found was a letter from Senator John F. Kennedy, 1957, saying, "Dear Reverend Lothrop," who was our minister at the time, "I'm sorry I can't be with you for the Sunday that you invited me to speak because of my Catholic faith, which doesn't allow me to do that. But I'd be glad to participate in a weeknight forum or discussion," which, as far as I know, he never did. I can't find any, but that was a really interesting letter that we found up there. There's letters from Reverend Martin Luther King. There's letters from Thurgood Marshall. There's letters from, mostly they're just kind of like booking letters back and forth, but it's just a magnificent thing up there, and we'd love to share it with the world as best we can, as safely as we can. So David Dodson is still with us. This is what we call the musical message. And David, take it away with a couple of songs, okay?
Thank you, Dean. Just a second here. Got to get a key.
Got to unlock your guitar, huh?
Yes,
Oh, that kind of key.
that kind of key. Do, yeah, woo. Ba-doom, bung, bung, ba-doom, ba-doom, bung, bung, ba-doom, bung, 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 ba-doom, bung, bung, bung. I didn't win megabucks, and I don't feel bad. Somebody else's life is what I would have had. I wouldn't be the guy that I've always been if I had won megabucks, but I didn't win. I got lucky. Boom, boom, boom. I have a number of friends who could use a hand. I was gonna give 'em all 100 grand, but when the word got out about these chosen few, I'd have had more friends than I knew what to do with. So I blew off the bucks in the bulletproof trucks. I got lucky. Boom, boom, boom. I'd be drinking champagne, laughing loud and hearty at a fundraising dinner for the Republican Party, influencing the direction the country was going, making damn sure that my money kept flowing. But it looks like, aw shucks, I didn't win megabucks. I got lucky. But the boom boom. I only bought one ticket, no need to buy two. If it's part of God's plan, then one ought to do. But when the number was drawn, I shook my head and said, damn, I guess God likes me just the way I am. I got lucky. But the boom boom, woo! I didn't win a megabucks, and I don't feel bad. Somebody else's life is what I would have had. I wouldn't be the guy that I've always been if I had won megabucks, but I didn't win. I got lucky. Boom, boom, boom. Oh yeah. Now I have a slightly smaller instrument than the guitar here. Ukulele. There was a uke craze back in the 1920s. It was sort of Hawaiian in nature. My mother grew up in Hawaii, and she was around for that, and in the 20s. And then there was in the 50s there was a sort of an Arthur Godfrey craze for the same instrument. And then maybe 15 years ago, another uke craze swept the country, and at this point I bought this wonderful instrument, which has got a tuning mechanism or idea which goes, my dog has fleas, and there it is, right in tune. So here's a little uke tune for you. Ba-ba-da-da-da-da. Try that again. There's something about a ukulele, you can play one without even trying. There's something about a ukulele, make you feel so doggone Hawaiian. You plunk a little chord and you feel transported back to 1935. By the beach you'll be dining and the sun will be shining, and you'll be so glad you're alive. There's something about a ukulele, on the land, on the sea, or in the air. There's something about a ukulele, you can take a uke anywhere. on the train, you can play it in the rain, you can even play it in bed. If you're flying to Spain, you can take it on the plane and store it in the rack overhead. Oh, there's something about a ukulele, they're so cute and small. There's something about a ukulele that can really drive you up the wall. They can drive you to drink with their plink, plinkety plink. Why people love 'em I will never know. They can ruin your day, and some people say they're worse than a bagpipe or a banjo. And if you play in a minor key, nothing could be worse than a uke, you see. That is where the devil does dwell, a terrible place called ukulele hell. You play and you play all day. You say, can I stop? Devil says, no way. Until finally they let you go back to Hawaii where the breezes blow. Oh, there's something about a ukulele, makes you want to sing a little tune. There's something about a ukulele underneath that big Hawaiian moon. Getting a uke is what you ought to do if dark and dismal days pursue you, trying to grab you down. You'll be sitting in the tropics, feeling philanthropic. Oh, it can really turn your life around. Oh, there's something about a ukulele, even if they're sometimes maligned. There's something about a ukulele. Get a ukulele and you'll find there's nothing wrong with strumming it gaily like the Whiff and Poof song. It's kinda yaley, oh, I like to play my ukulele daily. Oh, there's something about a ukulele.
David Dodson. Thank you, David.
Thank you, Dean. Pleasure to be here.
We'll hear one more song at least from David before the meeting is out. But I want to tell you, David, that I just sang your song "Farthest Field" at my uncle's interment in Syracuse a week ago Wednesday, and it was just as moving as the other dozen times I've sung it at other memorials and funerals, and it's a song for the ages that will go in history. We've already had it published in one of the Sing Out songbooks, and I was glad to be part of getting that published, and I'm hoping it'll get published in the next version of the Unitarian Universalist Hymnal and other places, because it's just the most important song that I sing. I think it's called "The Farthest Field."
That's great. It's been the hit of the funeral circuit.
with good reason. With good reason.
Yeah. Thank you, Dean.
You bet, David. And I'll be seeing you soon. David and I are part of a musical tribe that gathers once a year on an island off the coast of Maine, Acadia National Park. It's called Swans Island. And there's about a dozen different musicians who have been coming there one time a year to do a series of concerts. And it's definitely the highlight of the year for lots of us. Well, our auditorium is in transition. We just took down the display of Impressionist painter Diane Esmond's work, and we thank once again Victor Wallace and Inez Hedges for so magnanimously sharing Victor's mom's work with the church, and also selling $10,000 worth of her paintings that all are a benefit for our ongoing construction and energy upgrade projects on this 5-story building that we have here in Copley Square. So that came down, and we have up, and maybe I'll be able to pan the camera around, a huge Encuentro Cinco banner that celebrates that they are a part of Community Church's work and activism. And we display that banner in the backdrop of the performance and open mic when we have them once a month. And then we have a lot of bare space, but I want to also point out that we have these window boxes. There's 2 window boxes. One of them is filled with Sacco and Vanzetti memorabilia and old publications that came from the estate of Robert Datilio. And we have all of his primary source material. He was the principal scholar of the Sacco and Vanzetti case. He passed away 2.5 years ago. And we're displaying that. And the other one has been emptied. We're going to have a display of some of those key letters that we have in our archives from different people like Martin Luther King Jr. and Thurgood Marshall and Ralph Bunche and lots of others. It's really a treasure to share. We also have our banner for Muslims for Progressive Values, who meet here. They took a break for COVID time, but they're back. They were here this past Friday, and the Friday before that, they had an Eid celebration here at the end of Ramadan. We also have a couple of different paintings by a painter who I can't remember his name right now, but they're beautiful, very colorful paintings that celebrate that thing that happened, what was it, 12, 13 years ago, called Occupy Boston. And we have a big, huge painting that's the Chiapas painting of Yosh Sanborn Matsu. Yosh Sanborn Matsu of blessed memory, who ran for maybe about 10 years, something in this auditorium that was called Gallery of Social Political Art. They would have 2 or 3 expositions every year of different forms of political art. So Yosh himself was a professional painter, as well as a survivor of the Japanese internment camps in California. And his son, John Sanborn Matsu, has spoken here as well. He's a animal rights activist and vegetarian defender. So that's the Chiapas painting that you should come and see. And there are a few others that'll come up soon. We don't like bare walls. A lot of Unitarian Universalist churches, which we sort of are and sort of aren't. Can't quite. We are dues-paying members of the UUA, but you look at our way of doing things and you might not recognize it. But I say that because a lot of UU churches are quite devoid of imagery, and I'm not sure exactly why, but we are not. And I think we're inspired to not be because of a certain person in our history and our lives presently. In fact, he walked in the door just now, and his name is Louis Randa, and he ran the Peace Abbey for all those years in Sherborne. And there was such a wealth of imagery on all the walls and imagery of all the religions of the world. It's just the most inspiring place that commemorated so much that is good in the peace movement and the animal rights movement. That it just so happens that he was our recommendation for this morning's speaker, and it just so happens that he's here with us this morning to introduce the speaker. And I hope we're going to hear more from Louis in months to come about his amazing project with the place called Hart Island, which is the Potter's Field for the city of New York, and with the monument that's going to be placed there. But Louis, will you come up and introduce Roger for us? It's so good to have you here, and welcome. Oh yeah.
Well, always good to be back at Community Church of Boston. Hello to the members and the many people that I've come to know here. This is a second home for me in so many ways. But I came this morning to claim the privilege of introducing someone who's a new friend that I met through a friend that has blessed the work of the Peace Abbey over decades, Madeline Champagne. So Madeline, bless you. So I want to introduce somebody who in some ways is like a human ukulele, and you'll see what I mean in terms of how he can turn things inside out and upside down and allow us to find that space where we remember Robin Williams. And we find that he does live on in our memory. And in Roger's case, he lives on in his heart and in his mind. Roger is a filmmaker and has a history of stand-up comedy. He's an actor, an artist. He's been on The Tonight Show, The Carol Burnett Show. He's also a recovering drug addict and a shaman. He made a very unusual film called Being Robin. And today we're going to see portions of it, learn a bit about his journey, and take stock of how the lives of others, particularly those who inspire us, particularly those who are our mentors, live on in so many ways. So Roger will express oh so well what Robin Williams means to him. Roger.
Louis, Randy, ladies and gentlemen, got me here. Somehow I got here. I'm Jewish. I'm in church. How did my mother would be so, she'd be quelling. Hi, I'm glad you guys made it here and you guys at home too. So I wasn't sure how to begin this. And I said this to Dean when I was scurrying to get a parking space. I said, I'm going to start with this simple idea. Sometimes things don't happen to us. They happen for us. We think they're happening to us, but in fact, they're happening for us. And that idea carried out this morning as I got into a car accident looking for a parking space about a half an hour ago. Now, what happened for me there instead of to me, because what happened to me will be an escalation of some fee that my insurance company will pay, have me pay, and I'll probably be fine. What happened to me is that I ran into a pastor who didn't swear, who didn't punch me in the face, who didn't act in any way except like a total gentleman. As I told him, this may not mean anything to you, but I'm on my way to speak at a church. And he goes, that does mean something to me. I'm like, okay, what could that possibly mean to you? I just ruined your car. And he takes his card out and it says that he's a pastor. That doesn't really make you a holy person. It just means we could talk. I'm going to speak at a church. You're a pastor. Let's exchange papers. Not so fast. We got to talk to the police. Am I even going to make my speaking gig here at the church? Call the police. Here's where I get to learn that was going on inside of me because I'm bipolar and a drug addict and an alcoholic and a compulsive gambler and a nicotine addict and some other things that I don't want to talk about in church today. I'm having a little Robin Williams moment. Excuse me. Whoa. Sorry. What happened? Where were we? Take two. Take it back. So I'm down in there with this guy. And we're cool. And the reason that we're cool is because I've been working on myself. I'm in recovery 20 years this week. And I was cool. Oh, thank you. No. God does the work. I just follow along the plan. I just am so grateful to see that I didn't lose my cool once, did I? Except when I was like, here, take my stuff. Madeline's there. Madeline was sort of handling my things. I couldn't get out of my car. It was like a space capsule after a splashdown. I'm extracting myself because my door was smashed. And I shouldn't be this happy. But like I said, he's okay. His passenger's fine. His car will get fixed. My car will eventually have a door that opens. And I'll pay a little insurance money. And I got to see how I am today. I was okay. Because last time I drove through Boston, I was like, Jesus! Pull it over, pull it, get away. Okay, I'm fine. Popcorn will do it. Fill the hole. Mayday, security, therapist. I ended up shooting a scene from the movie that day when I called my therapist and said, I'm not okay. I'm sorry, let's bring it back a little bit. So I'm talking to this pastor. Oh, crazy foam's coming, here we go. I'm talking to this pastor and he said, okay, we'll wait for the police, knowing very well Dean's like, what's going on here? But Dean's cool, you know, Dean, he's not gonna worry about me, but Madeline too is calm. Everybody's cool. How did this happen? I'm with neighbors who know what being a neighbor means. That's what happened for me. I wasn't with some crazy person who was going to try to ruin my life. I feel like we're on Let's Make a Deal. So, yeah, we stood there for 15, 20 minutes. The cop showed up. He was cooler than anybody. He wasn't acting like a policeman. Usually, okay, everybody, let's just control the situation here. You sit down, boy, you ain't going nowhere. He was cool because it looks like you guys need to exchange papers. Here I am. I don't have an insurance card. Here's where I panic. I don't want to make this too long about this, but this is an incident and I have your attention, I think. I don't have my insurance card. Silly me. Why don't I have that? Because it's on my phone. I can get in. Boop, 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 boop. Progressive. Boop, boop, boop. We don't have a policy on you. I'll be right with you. What am I going to do? I call them and they have this automatic AI. How can we help you? I'm sounding like a Muppet, but you know what I mean. And I say, I need to get my policy number. Well, you could check your insurance emails and Gmails and Twitter. And I checked my Gmail, which I could barely get into. I had to go through 13 files to find my Gmail. And I found my Progressive insurance number. And I said to the pastor, here's my number. Everybody's cool. Click, click, took a picture. I got his, he's got mine. The cop is like, okay, you guys all set. I pull into the garage. I find a spot. I'm here. I made it. I didn't think I would, but I didn't panic. And for me, that is progress. That's not why I'm here. I'm here to talk about some other things. I'm here to talk about the topic, which has become fascinating to me because I'm living it. And it is what compelled me to make a movie about it. And the topic happens to be the relationship between mental illness and spiritual experience. So I'm going to roll the clip that shows you the trailer to my movie, Being Robin. And before we do that, I don't know if you can see this. This is the website you can go to get the film is beingrobinthemovie.com. You probably can't see this, but we'll hold it up. Beingrobinthemovie.com is where you can purchase the movie. You can either get a DVD, which I will sign and send to you. You can get one here today if you're here, or you can buy the link, or you can rent the link. So there's many ways to see this, and this will be the topic of my talk today. The movie is very much about the relationship between spirituality and mental illness and obsession, what drives us towards our actions. And let's roll the introduction, which is the trailer to the film. This is Being Robin. And thank you back there, Amon. I'm just doing a little music here. Just take it back a little bit. In the winter of 2014, I was convinced that I was possessed by the spirit of Robin Williams. I can't eat at Domino's anymore. Why? Because it gives me pizzeria. I had a remarkable experience that I can't explain. And it's breathtaking and exhilarating.
I'm Robin Williams.
Something goes through you.
He came back.
You could ask him what he's doing here.
What did you come here to do?
Trick or treat!
Good to have you back, Robin.
Thank you.
I could feel his presence in the room.
No. Oh, wow. Very authentic.
It's all fake.
There was nothing phony about it.
Fugazi.
What's your name?
Reverend Williams.
What's up, my brother from a broken rubber?
This is a delusional disorder. Really? I've never seen anything like it. He was diagnosed with bipolar.
He lives through me.
I've been trying to get a hold of you. I'd like to talk to you. It's been a while.
Oh, dear puppet, I'll talk to you soon.
I couldn't stop it, and I didn't want to. We were on a mission.
What's on your mind, dear?
I guess we went through a little time warp together. And you're the reason that I came back. Because I love you. And I'll always be here. Always be here.
Okay, so shucks. Thanks for the sitting ovation. No. Okay, so I made a movie because something happened. Just to give you a little background, I always wanted to be an actor. We'll roll that clip in a minute. I started out in community theater. I started putting on costumes and wigs and masks, and I wanted to be somebody else because I always thought it was a fairly boring, plain kind of a person. So that will be described in this next clip, but not quite yet. It took me through quite a career as an actor. Yeah, let's roll the next clip. Let's just go through that now. This is number one, where it starts out. This is me and kind of my history as an actor. It's just a couple minutes. If you need a minute, I can talk. I can talk. This will take you through my early career as an actor. And there we go. And I'm a little green right now. Don't worry about that. Ever since I was a kid, I liked to dress up. I never felt that I was very interesting, I just kind of had a plain look, and I just felt like a plain kid. So I liked to dress up and become characters and do people that were more interesting than me. Especially celebrities. And that's when I got into doing impressions, which led to stand-up comedy.
It's called Overactors Anonymous. Robert De Niro was leading the meeting. On my next movie, I'm going to play a giant irate crab. Here it goes like this. Ninja, huh? And what we do heckles, we pinch them. We pinch their little penises. Robin Williams is here with us tonight.
The first time I saw Robin Williams, I completely identified with him. I loved him. I wanted to be him. He was always part of my act. Years ago, Robin saw me do an impression of him on TV, and it got back to me that he really liked it. I was so happy to hear that. So that led to Hollywood, da-da-da-da-da-da, and the Carol Burnett Show.
Barry!
Hi, Mrs. Randolph. Debbie home?
Where the hell have you been?
Oh, I know, I'm late.
Late? The prom was 2 days ago.
So, she doesn't want to go?
Where were you? What happened?
Well, I was on my way over here to pick her up, and, I got scared. I changed my mind. So that's a little of my history through Hollywood. After that, I went on to have my own sitcom on NBC. I was the Zima guy. I pitched Clear Malt during Saturday Night Live. I was starting to make money. And then something happened, which is very typical of Hollywood. Things started to unravel. The Carol Burnett Show was canceled. my series, Rhythm and Blues, was canceled. This is about 1992. I went on to make a lot of money doing selling beer in commercials, and that got canceled. And I've always been a drug addict. During the course of all of this, I was, busy with weed and cocaine and booze and gambling. And, I just lived that life. I took the trip. I went in the limos and I did the Tonight Show. And I was like a lot of other guys. A lot of other guys are dead. And women didn't make it because they stayed with it. They stayed on top of the horse until they couldn't ride anymore. Mine, I got lucky. Sometimes things happen for you instead of to you. I had a nervous breakdown after everything was canceled. I ended up in a really bad drug situation. It started with a kidney stone. I got addicted to painkillers from one kidney stone, which led to me being a relatively a criminal. I would steal drugs. I would steal things to get drugs. That's what junkies do. I knew that there was something in me that was really, this wasn't me. What was happening was being controlled by something else, which would grab you and say, get in there. That drug addiction is a beast that controls you. It's not me. It grabs onto you, somehow a parasitic monster that will grab you and do things that you would never do. And I became a thief. And I hurt a lot of people, car accidents. Well, I had a sober car accident today, but nobody got hurt. And it wasn't because I was loaded. It was because I was in a rush. I went to rehab. I went to sober livings. I went to psych wards. I was diagnosed with bipolar. I got on medication. I couldn't get sober. It's like an AA meeting. Where was I? Oh, yeah. I couldn't get sober, but I wanted to get sober. I knew there was something to me, inside of me, other than being this ugly smear on the canvas of God's creation. This little crappy stain. I somehow I had something better to do. So I ended up having a spiritual experience after my third rehab on my way to wanting this so much. I was sitting in a meeting on my way to sober living. My sponsor had picked me up from my third rehab. And I just said, please, whatever God is, please, can I please have this? And I frickin' meant it. And something happened in that meeting. I had something happen. It was a spiritual thing that I was staggering. The first thing was that I felt a hug from the inside that felt like I had been lost for 40 years. And I was getting a hug from my parents who had been missing me all that time. The hug that you would get from your parents or your loved ones, that you've been gone so long and you finally come home. I felt like the first time in years, I felt good. And then I didn't feel evil. I felt like I'm not bad. And this little voice, this small, quiet voice, was the voice of a child, said, you're good. And I love you. And you're forgiven. And I felt like I had a locomotive go through me. It was like, oh, that's when I got hit with this spiritual, like that white light thing, but it was a physical sensation. And I started to hyperventilate and cry. And I'm in the meeting going, oh my God. It was intense. And my sponsor's going, stop it. I'm like, oh my God. And all the way back, all the way to the sober living, I'm look at the trees and the sky. Oh my God, this is so beautiful. That's the bipolar part. When your emotions get away from you to unlimited amount of, intensity, that's when they look at you and you go, maybe a spiritual experience is quite mad. You're quite crazy. I felt out of control because it was so uplifting. And I had to share that because that's where the movie comes in. So I did get sober. I got sober 20 years ago. But I couldn't do show business anymore because it was killing me. I don't have the skin for rejection, for waiting by the phone. I'm a nervous wreck naturally. I can't do a scene with Carol Burnett. You could see I'm like, don't kill me. I didn't have it. So I quit. I retired. I needed something to do, so I started something else, which I always loved to do, which was painting. And because my sponsor said, you're going to need to stay out of show business until further notice, or it's going to kill you. And I wanting to be sober, you know, it's like, I'm an actor. What else am I supposed to do? I'm a comedian. So I found that painting filled that giant hole that alcohol left. When you are addicted to something, it is the most important relationship you have. When you're really addicted, that's your baby, that's your wife, that's your husband, that's your lover, that's your world. And when you leave that behind, there's a gaping hole in you that needs to be filled with something. So painting, I believe, really saved my life. So let's roll that little painting. And this is also in the film that I wanted to share with you about the painting stuff. Yeah. I filmed some of this on a boat on the lake. And somebody said that if I ever went back into the show business, that I would probably die. So I had to find something else to do. I think painting saved my life. That was my dance with God. So that's a little piece from the movie that shows that life changed after the show business crash and burn. That I had this crash and burn, but I found something to do that was nourishing. I made a living at it. I'm still making a living at it. I've been doing it for years. And in the 3rd or 4th year of my sobriety, I was in a very dark place. Even though I had found this, I'm still a wounded, you know, like so many of us, damaged human being, childhood trauma, alcoholism, bipolar. These things will get to you. And I was looking for something that I couldn't find. And I would go to church every Christmas Eve, and, you know, because I was in that kind of place where I just wanted cookies and I wanted to hear, "Oh, Holy Night." What's the name of that song? Oh, Holy Night. Oh, Holy Night. So, so I went there going, I don't want to hear any preaching. I don't want to hear about God. I don't want to hear about anything except I want cookies and I want to hear "Oh, Holy Night," and I want to hear it by Josh Groban. That's a bad attitude walking into church, but I thought that would help. So I eat the cookies and I'm waiting for the song. And they had a little orchestra and they start playing "Oh, Holy Night," which is my favorite carol, "The Little Jew That Could," right? So they start playing "Oh, Holy Night," and I start to chill into the song because I know I like the song. And while my eyes are closed and I'm sitting in church, I see this little insect in my mind's eye flitting around my heart, in my chest. Now, I have a pretty vivid imagination. So I see this, it kind of looks like a grasshopper, and it's popping off, sort of popping off and on my heart. And it's like got wings, and it's white, and it's flittering around my heart, and it finally lands. And my heart's going crazy. And I'm looking like, what is this? Why is this big insect holding on to my heart? And then I look closer. Can we show that? This is the painting I made of that image. You do the math. That's what I saw, and that's what I felt. What I felt was, I've never had an experience with Jesus. This was it. He hung on to my heart while he was taking the ride on my heart. I was starting to relax and feel okay, where I didn't feel okay before. I was starting to feel okay, at peace. And if you look, how he's holding on. It tells you about love. It tells you about commitment. It tells you about relationship. And that's an experience I will never forget. It was one of the several spiritual experiences I've had, and I just had to express it in paint. Now, the fun nuts and bolts part of it is there's our Lord Jesus Christ. I actually had my son pose for that, wearing his mother's white robe hanging on the back of his pickup truck. Originally, I know this really kills the story, but that's how artists do it. talk to Norman Rockwell. He had people come in out of his studio. But originally it had my son's face, and I said, let's not show the face. Let's keep it a mystery. Some people think it's a woman, and that's cool too. But I wanted to show you that because there's a correlation with art, mental illness, spiritual experience. It's all wrapped up in this story. So thank you for showing that. That is one of the spiritual experiences I had as an artist, as somebody who's now open to this kind of thing, because Jesus took me out of the dark that day, that night. I was in the dark. I was feeling low. I wanted to act out, and it took me out of it, and even for a while. Now, what I didn't tell you is I moved out of Hollywood and packed up everything and moved back to Massachusetts because I had another spiritual experience when I was visiting in May of 2014, shortly after the marathon bombing. Previously, I felt a real deep connection with Boston. And when I visited, I was in a bog in Cape Cod, and my knees hit the ground, and I wept and I wept and I wept, and I didn't know what was bothering me. I was living in Los Angeles for 20 years, and here I am in a bog in Cape Cod, crying my eyes out. And I said, God, what is this? And then I felt the words, the feeling that the land was claiming me back. So that's another spiritual experience. And it wasn't a decision. The decision had been made. It wasn't about, should I come back? Should I not come back? It was about, I need to get a van and put everything I own in that van and go back home. And I did. I moved across the country, and I settled in Hopkinton, Mass. And I've pretty much been there ever since. So we're talking about spiritual experience. We're talking about mental illness. When I first got sober, and I want to share this because this is part of the art thing, and we'll get to the movie in a sec. When I first got sober, I used to hit my knees. I used to paint pictures that I could kind of crawl into, sit under a tree and hold God's hand, or just be in a place, because I was living in a sober living with 20 guys, and it's kind of a submarine full of wackadoos. And I needed a place to I'd look at the paintings that I was making. They weren't great. It was like that one with the tree. It's just like crawl into the tree and relax. But when I was on my knees praying or meditating or half asleep, I saw a vision of a painting. This is another spiritual experience, a vision that went by like that. And I was like, what was that? It was incredibly beautiful. It grabbed me, and I saw it for a second, and it flooded me with this incredible feeling. And I cried. I'm a baby, and I cried, and I was like, God, what was that? It was beautifully simple. It was the painting of a brilliant child. It wasn't adult-like. It wasn't schooled. It was raw. It had a feeling. It was healing. It was something like, I couldn't describe. I had an experience with Monet years ago in Boston, when I saw a wall of Monet paintings and I saw God through there. It was like that. And I cried then too when I saw the Monets. It was like that. So I'm there wondering about this painting, like, who did it? What the hell? I was really dumbfounded. And then it came to me that it was my own work years from now. This would be my work if I stayed with it. And then I had another vision a little while later of a room in a museum. This was kind of indulgent, but it was a room and people were walking out of it as if they'd really seen a miracle or something healing thing. They were coming out of a room with one painting in it. And I was standing there like this on the outside of the room, and people were walking by me in tears. And I realized that was part of that. Okay. That's my deepest wish. As a man, as a shaman, as an artist, as somebody that just has a mission, is that something that I participate in will affect people in a healing way. This is the part where the mental illness comes in, when I understand I'm a little off. So it's 2014, right? I'm living in Massachusetts. I'm making a living as a painter. I'm painting dog portraits, which I get deeply affected by because some of them have died, and I'm painting the meanings of them. And Robin Williams died in 2014 on August 11th. I didn't have a connection with Robin Williams at that point. I was pretty much out. So when I found out he passed, I was like, really? And then a few days later, it hit me hard. Another spiritual experience, which is impossible to describe. And I'm not going to show you this, but I will tell you that people were asking me to do a tribute because he was part of, as you saw, what I do, one of the impressions that I do. And he had seen me do him years before on TV. And it got back to me that he liked my impression of him. I was very honored. So no, the answer is no. I'm not going to do, even the guy who hired me to do these things was calling and saying, you should do a tribute. And I'm like, I will not go back on stage for any reason. Never, ever. I'm out. It would kill me to go back into theater, go back on stage, back into that business that I can't handle. I'm not doing it. So I said no. And then one night I was in the bathroom and I made a Robin Williams face in the mirror and this thing came flooding. Him took a hold of me and took me through his death, but not like he was holding my hand, but I was him. I was, for lack of a better word, possessed by him. I was like, oh no, here we go. I felt like I was dying. I was dying. I was leaving. It felt very personal in that way, that it wasn't me watching somebody, it was me losing my life. I was Robin Williams and imagining what it would be like to be Robin Williams and losing that. And my voice got low. I was with somebody that I had been dating at the time, and my voice, it got low, and I was hugging her. She was holding me, and my arms were hairier, and I was just there, and I understood what it was like to be Robin Williams and lose your life. It's pretty heavy, man. You know, it was heavy. It was a spiritual experience, and it was also fueled by whatever mental illness I have. And I know that it goes to extremes. A few weeks or months later, I don't know, I was in the snow. I was walking in the woods and out of my mouth came, I missed my wife. I missed my kids. And I didn't give my permission for that. It was like Tourette's when you go, fuck! You know, it was just like that. It just came out of me. I wasn't thinking about Robin, but it was like that. And I was like, what do you want from me? I was being haunted by Robin Williams, and I didn't want to be. I have stability and I have a job, and I finally got my life in order. And here comes this ghost of this beloved, somebody who I dearly love, who's now in my life, grabbing my girlfriend, grabbing my paintbrushes. Hey, look at that. And I said, no, get out. There's no show. I'm not doing a show. You go. And all I could hear was, oh, I want to go back to work. Please, please, come on, let's go. And I was absolutely determined that it wasn't going to happen. And I said, you get out of here. You go play in the woods. There's no show. Shut the door. And then, you know, after some contemplation, I just started saying, Jesus, you know, I'm being kind of rough and disrespectful to Robin Williams. Who am I to say no to Robin Williams? And then the thought was like, what do you mean? You're saying this is Robin? I'm saying, I don't know. Who am I to say no, that this isn't real? Who am I to say this isn't really a spiritual manifestation? And Robin somehow has entered into my life and is asking something of me, and I'm saying no. The next clip of the movie is after I experienced his death, and the woman in the movie playing my girlfriend goes with the idea that maybe it's real. And that's the next clip. I've just experienced Robin's death firsthand, and she's comforting me. Her name's I really, really want to be in control. I want some peace. Okay. I want to give you some peace, and I can't right now. There's nothing I can do.
Slow down.
I know.
Let's say that it is true. Let's say that it is Robin. It's Robin Williams, not the devil. You could ask him what he wants. You could ask him what he's doing here.
Okay, so I asked him what he wanted, and he wanted to go back to work. This has happened, okay? This is a documentary. This isn't something I made up, All right. I'm not going to waste your time, and I'm not going to be up here like a fool telling you some fiction to make money, because I don't have money. I have hundreds of dollars. Okay. I promise there's no big payoff here. The payoff is coming, but it's not monetary and it's not fame, because I've been famous. It sucks. I didn't want it. I wanted to be of service to this being. So I said, okay, what do you want to do? So we went and booked some things. And the first show we did was at a casino for 600 people in California. And Robin just went crazy. Yeah, there's 600 people out there. Let's go. You know, I was just like, oh my God, I had no control. There were things coming out of my mouth I had no permission to give, but it was just like, hey, okay, hey, what are you doing? Hey, how about a laugh dance? Yeah. You know, it was just like, it was too much. But it was, oh my God, a real drug. The adrenaline and the endorphins pumping out of me now. Incredible stuff. Yeah, I was so happy now because I was able to work in my chosen field. Now, after that, we did some pizza places. We did some restaurants. There wasn't real work for a while. One of the places I worked was a rod and gun club. Let's roll that one. This one's called Weed. And for those of you on drug, read. This is also from the film, but this is also an actual show that I did in my hometown. So strange. And then remember you were in high school? You're smoking that Mexican weed, and you're gonna go to class, and you go, God, I hope she doesn't notice my eyes. You don't have any. And you sit way in the background, God, they're calling me now. And of course, they're calling. She's the teacher from Charlie Brown. What did she say? No, I haven't been smoking marijuana. There's nothing affections then. Right? Yes, I'm sure, but I did 2 taps of acid. You're all turning into lizards. I gotta go to the nurse. Okay, so that's what happened. That is something I wrote with Robin, who I hear Robin laughing. It's going in the show. Some of the things that Robin laughs at do not go in the show because I feel like I will lose my career when we talk about things we shouldn't. So there's some editing, but mostly Robin is just free form on stage. There's some structure. But ultimately, after all was said and done, there was a mission between us. I've been doing the show for 8 years, and I wanted to do some good. I didn't want to just go out and pretend I was Robin Williams or let Robin Williams run me. And by the way, it's a very interesting process. I want to just explain the process of, if I'm missing anything, would you key me in before the end? Madeline's going to help me because she's in charge of my brain now. She has a little grip on it. But I want to tell you the process of how Robin and I work together, because at first there was no control. And then when I have to get ready to do a show, it's about an hour before the show when I'm just me. And then there's sort of a ritual where I put on Robin clothes and I put on a wig and makeup. And Robin makes sure the wig looks okay. And then we start the behavior. I start having conversations with Robin, and we talk about the gig. And hey, there's a lot of, we're in Amish country. Just be careful with that. And we talk back and forth, but then eventually it integrates into one being. And then I back away and he goes, okay, you wait there. I got this. Okay. And then I'm off and I just watch. I don't try to interfere with the show. It's a strange method. I'm a method comedian. So I allow Robin, I open myself up to that spirit. And when it works, people are kind of like sitting just going, oh my God, including some of his friends like Cindy Williams, who played Shirley on Laverne and Shirley, gave me a big hug and said, I feel Robin. And that's been the experience for some people, that they feel the spirit in the room. Sometimes they say it's not just a show, it's a seance. And, it's a little ghouly, but that's the truth. We're evoking a spirit. Yeah, I'm bipolar, but sometimes I don't know if this is something that I deeply desire just to keep him alive, or he's here because I feel him so strongly. I was walking in Reno once and I was exhausted after doing so many shows, and I was eating a burger and I suddenly felt Robin, the sense that I had been dropped back on earth and nobody knew it was me. So I'm walking around and I get out from my burger and I'm walking around and I'm Robin Williams, and Robin experiences life through me. Sometimes I'm feeling strongly that he's experiencing this. And I see two people standing over there across the street, and I go over to them and I say, "Hi, I'm Robin Williams." And the guy looks at me real close and he sticks his hand out and he says, "It's nice to have you back." Didn't say, "Get the hell out of here, man, bum, go on." He was feeling it too. Robin was there. I've never felt it more strongly, and I didn't deny it, and I won't deny Robin, and I won't deny myself, but I am on medication because my therapist said, you're not quite in control of this, and you need to be at least grounded to be able to do this work. Because 4 years into this show, I decided to make a movie and document this for a couple of reasons, because I didn't know how long I was going to be able to do this. And I wanted to document some of the clips from some of the shows. And I needed to tell my story. That's what artists do. We express the truth of who we are and what happened. This is my truth. So I made this movie, and halfway through the shooting, the pandemic came. I turned it into a documentary. And during the pandemic, I wasn't sure if I would live. I was like everybody else, wondering what's going to happen. So I started to take a different tact. I said, I'm going to finish this movie myself. I'm going to make it a documentary. I'm going to get it done. And I don't care if it looks like Hollywood. I don't care if people say it's a piece of crap. I don't care if it looks like it was made in somebody's bathtub. I need to tell my story. So I finished it. Took me 5 years. But I also wanted to do some good with it, not just say, ta-da! I wanted to say, what are we doing? What are we saying with this? What's happening? So within the movie is a strong humanitarian message. So you wade through all this pee-pee caca, Robin Williams doing what Robin Williams does, naughty little jokes, and I confront him on it because he got me beat up. I said the wrong thing to the wrong guy, gets me beat up in the movie, and I confront him with it after a trip to the psych ward. Oh, by the way, around this time, I was doing interviews, and the truth is, this is a more recent interview, but the phenomenon of me and Robin coming in and out occurred on Boston Public Radio in the last, I think, 3 months. So let's roll that one clip. I think it's Boston. Does it say Boston? Oh, let's roll that one. Yeah, this is a scene in the movie where I'm asking Robin if he's really here. I guess I skipped over one or two. Sorry, you guys at home. I should really be looking at you too. I'm kind of looking at my friends out here for support. Please help me. This is where I'm asking Robin when I'm alone in the canoe if he's really here. Hey, Robin.
Yeah.
Are you really here?
Oh, I don't know. You know how you can find out?
No, how?
Take the medication.
And if I take the medicine and you're still here?
Then I exist.
Okay, so that's a scene that helps me ask what's going on. And the true answer that I got from whatever is going on from Robin is, I don't know. Robin himself going, I don't know if this is real. So take the medication, which I did. And if I go away, you'll know it was a delusion. And I said, what if you don't go away, then I'm real, I exist. And the other question that I took out of the film, which you may be interested in, if you're still with us at home, I said, I really would like to know if you're real, if you're really here. And he said, why do you have to know? I said, I'm going through this. Don't you think I have a right to know? Hey, okay, so let's see if it's real. You find out it's true. You prove it. All these scientists and all these spiritual people are going to come running after you with scalpels to try to dissect you. The comedy club circle will be running with experts. You're not going to have your life to yourself. You'll be some miracle on Time magazine. Is that what you want? Or just find out it's a hoax. Sorry. Big, big hoax. Sorry, folks. Wrap it up. You're going to feel like a fool, and so will I. Would you tell me if you knew? Like I said, I don't know. You know what I got out of this, you guys? I got the idea that this is a good mystery. Why do we have to know the truth? In all this searching for this answer, I recognize the answer that I like is I don't know. Like the mystery of faith, you know, whatever God is. What if he was sitting here today, he was one of you, and we knew what he looked like? It would just be like no big deal anymore. I like the mystery of faith. I really do. And I'm very, very spiritual, but I'm not religious. I'm a Jew without the Judaism. I'm culturally very Jewish, but I don't go with I don't practice anything. I don't know. I practice the love of the mystery of faith and the miracles of life. Oh, thank you. I guess I'm in the right place after all. I don't know. Thank you. Okay. And nature, man, this earth. I'm so connected to this earth. This is where I find my God. When I go out in the woods, when I go out in the lake, like so much in the movies where I find, and when I paint, I find that sense of connection, you know, with something great. So I want to do activism. So I brought it into the movie. And in this scene, I'm trying to get a point across through Robin. I try to convince him, Robin, like, what are you doing here? Why are you invading my life, threatening my sobriety, threatening my sanity, getting me beat up? What did you come here to do, man? Ultimately, in the show, this is what happens. We're going to go Darwin now. This is the activism that Robin creates. We okay for time? Okay. It's brief. Go for a drive, roll down your window. I love you. I love you too. Oh, look at that. Yes. The love is in the air now, and the trees are going, yes, yes, yes. They're feeling the love, and the flowers and the grass are coming up, and the bunnies are going, let's party. Yeah. Because that's what makes the world work. Darwin was misunderstood. He said survival of the fittest. Yes. If you have to mate and there's two males and one female, duke it out, boys. But look, the rest of the time, we are built not for competition, but for cooperation. See, I could kick your ass and survive, or I could help your ass and we could both survive. What do you want to do? That's all I'm saying. So it's an old idea, but it's put through Robin Williams as a way of saying, how do we want to do this? Do you want to keep fighting, or do you want to work together as a species and bail this ship before it sinks? As a species, bail out this planet that we're on, so we don't kill ourselves off. We are our own predators. We don't have to be. I'm preaching. So that's in the movie, and that's the good that I'm trying to do through the movie. It's not just, hey, look at me. It's like, hey, look at you. Look at us. What are we going to do? The neighborly thing is starting to creep in. I also want to show you what happened on Boston Public Radio a couple months ago, which demonstrates my not planning on doing a Robin thing, but it happens. Do you have that? It should be just before this. Thank you for your patience. We're almost done. I did a radio interview in this condition.
So how do you feel him in you?
He's passing through, and I feel him. And I'm not trying to prove that this isn't anything but something that requires medication. Whoa! There's people I've slept with twice here. And it's crazy stuff. And I'm like, it's not me. Yes, it is. You know it. You want it. You want it, baby. Yes, it's okay. Sorry. More cutting Orson. It's an alien probe, both of you.
So that was not that long ago when I was promoting the movie, and I decided to put it in the movie because it really represents this sort of push me, pull you animal that I am sometimes in public. and you saw a little today. Not really planned, but I know Robin's kind of here and kind of wanting to play. So the last thing is, what good are we doing here? So when I met Louis Randa through Madeline, we sat down and we talked about the touchstone that we were talking for the pandemic touchstone to go to Hart Island. And Louis has been through this struggle for, I don't even know how long. How long has it been? 2 years of struggling to get this a home in New York, Hart Island. And when I met you, Louis, I was just like, can I do anything? And I just said, maybe just so Robin Williams can send a message to the mayor of New York pushing the project. And I want to say that I don't know if I had anything to do with it happening. I think it doesn't matter, but this is what I'm trying to do through Robin to be of service to the community and in the world at large. So here's that last clip of me as Robin trying to get the mayor to get this stone on Hart Island, which ultimately it did. So here it is.
Mark Culligosen, come in, your holy whatever you are-ness. Give your report, Mark. I received a strange gift. It seems to be some sort of tombstone wrapped in red tape. Red tape everywhere. What is the symbolism of this? Oh God, this is totally weird, okay? Well, let's unwrap it and see what we've got. Let's try the scissors. The scissors, just like you do in City Hall when you're unveiling some meaningless thing.
Oh, peekaboo, I see you. You can't hide from me, dear.
Tape, no more red tape. Let's make it happen. Let's party, baby. It's the global pandemic touchstone for humanity. Wow, this is quite a gift.
Why was it given to you?
Because there's nobody else on earth that seems to be able to make this happen. But I want to share it with everybody.
Who's it from?
Good question. Glad you asked. Those pregnant pauses were killing me. It comes with a note. I'll tell you what it says. Don't be impatient. It's from the Hart Island Touchstone Coalition. Baby. On behalf of the families, oh, dear Mayor Adams, that's for you. On behalf of the families and friends and those buried in mass unmarked graves on Hart Island, we wish to humbly call upon you to take whatever measures are needed to accept and place the global pandemic touchstones on Hart Island this Christmas. Please do this, Mayor Adams, for all the families who pray that our bereavement touchstone will find its place where our loved ones are buried and where we go to mourn and reconcile and grieve and remember. Okay. Thank you, sir, for taking seriously our humble request to have this stone placed where it belongs on Hart Island. Sincerely, Hart Island Touchstone Coalition. Thank you, sir. I know this is kind of jokey, but we mean it. With all our heart. Do this quickly. Move those Parks and Recs commissioners. Give them a little kick in the butt, you know? Tell them it's Christmas. This would make an incredible gift for many, many people. Right now, the touchstone is sitting in a parking lot at the Bronx police station where people are curiously scratching their heads going, hey, Vinny, what is this thing? You know what I'm saying? Let's give it a proper place. Thank you.
So the touchstone, thank you. The touchstone's actually quite large. It isn't this little thing. That was just a little thing that Louis had made up. But that's one thing that we tried to do. We give money to the Boston Children's Hospital. I just think it's important to do whatever we can. And that is the end of my presentation. I will take any questions. How much time do we have? Oh, great. Thank you.
Talk about loss of words. It's just so remarkable, and it brings up so much. I don't even know where to start except to give it off to David, except for one last song. Oh, that's my phone. Damn it.
You don't like to have any blank spaces, so I'll just fill in while Dean's answering his phone. You want to talk to that person?
It's my wife.
It's his wife. I'll translate. Okay.
Yes, I will be right back with you, Jennifer. I just want to by way of introducing David back with us, and this is where we're supposed to make a money pitch, go to the Community Church of Boston.org, and there is a PayPal option or a credit card option, and you can help us make this thing happen, this thing which makes it possible for us to have had a presentation just like we did, and we're in the middle of. That's just so mind-blowing, amazing that maybe this is the only kind of church that we have the flexibility to be able to do this. And I just want to introduce David by reciting from a song. Ours is a simple faith. Life is a short embrace. Heaven is in this place every day. Hope is the ground we till. Make each day what you will. Thankful for dreams fulfilled every day. In the last verse, trust is an open hand, making an honest stand, rooted here in the land every day, living the mystery, seeking the harmony here between you and me every day. Folks, let's have David Dodson back for one last song.
Thank you, Dean. Am I on here? Can you hear me?
Yes.
I would like to talk about something that's coming up June 3rd. Dean and Terry Kitchen and I are playing in
Somerville.
Somerville,
at the Armory
in Somerville, and please come to that if you can. And what an amazing presentation! It's just great. I want to see the movie. Walking down the street in the late afternoon, I met a devotee of Sun Young Moon. Flagged him down with the bird salute. I was wearing my big pink chicken suit. Wouldn't you know it, dang my luck, got run down by a poultry truck. 6-foot chicken talking turkey with a moonie. They couldn't resist, it was too dang goony. Dang goony, dang goony. Dang goony, dang goony. Dang goony, you bet. About a dang goony as you can get. I'll pick that thing. When I woke up, it was 9:30. All them chickens saying, "What's your sign?" They looked pissed. The truck was full. I said, "Taurus, you know, the bull." In my heart, I'm just like you. Grade A poultry through and through. Then down through the roof fell Michael Cooney. Said, "Let's fly. This is too dang goony, dang goony, dang goony. Oh, dang goony, dang goony. Dang goony, you bet. About as dang goony as you can get." So we took off through the stratosphere, flew to Honolulu for a primo beer. Sitting at the bar watching TV, this strange fella comes up to me. Stepped right out of that Star Wars scene, big grass skirt and his hair was green. He said, "Stop in the name of the great Kahuni." I said, "Aloha, y'all, this is too dang goony, dang goony, dang goony. Oh, dang goony, dang goony. Dang goony, you bet. About as dang goony as you can get. So we jumped onto this big balloon with a pound of bologna and a macaroon. Played a linguine and a butterfly net. Cooney looks over, says, "We're all set." Just then we sprung a leak. I said, "Ditch the food or we're up the creek." Well, he said macaroni, I said macaroni. He said bologna, I said baloney. Bologna, bologna, macaroni, macaroni. Let's throw the whole thing off. Next week on the front page of the Wiki Wacky News, the headlines read, "Two prize loonies end up in the boonies. They tried to fly, but they were too dang goony. Dang goony, dang goony. Yay, yay, dang goony, dang goony. Dang goony, you bet. About as dang goony as you can get." Thank you, Al.
Thank you, David Dodson. I was running through my head about 10 different songs that David might have been able to share with us that are just so wild and wacky and amazing. And you can catch a little bit. Here's a little shameless self-promotion. David Dodson and myself, Dean Stevens, and Terry Kitchen will be playing at the Armory in Somerville on Saturday, June 3rd, 7 p.m. Join us there. Again, so many.
Dean, I was considering the song "My Republican Within."
My Republican Within, that would have been a good one. The one about the opera singer would have been a good one. How about Death and Dying, or Do Not Be Afraid of Dying or Losing All Your Money? There's so many, and you got to check out David Dodson every chance you get, and he's not down here too often. So, Roger, I want to start by asking you the following, and it might be sensitive. I mean, I don't know. It's about the death of Robin Williams, and my understanding is that he took his own life because of the onset of this thing called diffuse Lewy body syndrome,
That's right.
to which I lost my father-in-law. And my understanding of it was that he was deep into serious, almost psychedelic delusion and seeing things that weren't there, and not seeing things that were there, and to that, I cut to our own experience. We lost a dear member who's very active and very vibrantly involved in prison work and in program committee work here at the church, who felt the onset of Alzheimer's. She had ushered her two parents through same, and didn't want to subject her kids and her life partner to care for herself, and took her own life. And we just struggled with it so much, and I think finally came up with, hooray for your bravery in being able to do that. And it's kind of a sacrilegious thing to say, but I just ask about that and what you know about that, and just finally saying that you do Robin better than Robin himself, almost. It's like,
Well,
that couldn't possibly be
will-
true, but it's just such a remarkable impression of a guy who looks like him and who does him, and who maybe has some of the same the spiritual and mental makeup.
Well, thanks. Thanks, Dean. I want to thank you for having me in the first place and being able to speak my mind. I was given a very warm assurance that I could speak my mind and show my experience. And my experience, first of all, to acknowledge Robin's experience is right on. A lot of people misconstrue that he did something selfish he didn't have long to live anyway. And true, he was into a nightmare of hallucinogenic reality, that he couldn't perceive reality the way he wasn't perceiving it correctly. It was a terrifying experience for him. He showed me he wasn't doing anything he shouldn't have done, as far as I'm concerned. Also, when he somehow came into my being, he was a pure spirit. He wasn't carrying a disease. It was a pure spirit. He was free of that. And I feel like he was asking me to help him get more stage time. So to be clear, I don't know what's going on with me. And it used to be an impression, like somebody would say, do Robin Williams, and I would do Robin Williams. It ain't like that now. It's not really an impression that way I think impressions are. I just have to open myself up and get out of the way and let him do his thing. I don't feel like I'm doing him. I think there's something else going on. which may account for my, you could say that's because of bipolar. You could say that's because I'm deluded, or because I just have a desire to keep him alive somehow. And all those things are true. But what do you believe when somebody passes? Where do they go? And I said, Robin, not that long ago, I said, Robin, why me? And he's like, oh, don't be conceited. It's not just you. I'm everywhere, man. I'm everywhere. Okay? Different people experience Robin, and I've talked to them. They're still experiencing him in their way. This is me experience Robin in my way, which is weird. I don't know. And it's wonderful if I can be not terrified to finally let go. And I'm working on it, because you're not supposed to be hanging around a departed spirit for very long. And I've been with Robin for 9 years, and I need to move on, and I'm going to. But my therapist has told me to set up a shrine. I don't know why Robin's so important in my life, but he is. He's my brother. I love Robin Williams. He's a deep, one of the great souls. He could be a Buddha. He could be a Muhammad. He could be a Christ. What some of the other ones, a Gandhi. I just think he's one of those incredible spirits we don't understand, but we're drawn and we're affected by what he brought and his energy. It's so powerful. My first impression of Robin was, oh my God, that's me. And he took my act. I didn't have an act. I was actually just 17 and I was smoking a lot of weed. But if I had an act, hey, there it is. Okay. I understood how he felt. I was manic. I was expressive. I had a mind that went, whoa! It was all over the place, but he was much funnier and much more. He's a genius. He had things I didn't have. So there was envy too. Now, I have to get over the loss and appreciate that it's been my privilege to house this spirit, real or imaginary. You decide. Please get my movie. I would love to share it with you for the reason of it's a beingrobinthemovie.com. Yeah, you'll get to hold this up. For the reason he's going to zoom in, but go ahead. For the reason that I want to share this experience with you, it's profound, and it speaks to us, and it speaks to our need to come together. I think for the people that love Robin to come together around him, that's me doing Robin. And I was very possessed at that moment. I remember feeling Robin completely. That's a little grab from the movie. I don't know what else to tell you. You guys got any questions for me? Well, Lewis was first, yeah. Oh, that's the Donahue show. Come on now. Here we go. We're looking for a hot mic. I can repeat the question. What's
from the Zoom people?
Not yet.
We're going to get to you. Hey, you friends at home, we'll get to you shortly, okay? And I'm sorry I didn't look at you the whole time. I'm kind of new to audiovisual magic. Yeah, grab that. Okay. We're working it out here. We can work it out one more.
Okay.
I'd like to thank the Academy. It's been really surreal. What's your question?
Okay, well, you came forward for the Peace Abbey with this project of getting the pandemic stone into Hart Island. How would other groups, other organizations reach you? How would they describe their need, and how might you respond to it? Goodness knows there's no shortage of people that could benefit from what you offered. So how would they reach you? And would you be willing to step into Robin's spirit to assist people in doing good in the world?
Thanks, Louis. Yeah, that's a great question. This is part of it. Doing this today, I consider this a work of service. Somebody asked me to do something. It's a total honor. It's a first for me. And people from the mental health field have asked me, can they use, do you want your phone? Can we use your film as a tool? And I say, absolutely. How do they reach me? Go to beingrobinthemovie.com. I am reachable. If you want to use the movie or you want to use me, I can be a speaker. I can just show up doing Robin, which is weird. I mean, it's kind of, that's a show. And I think it's not as sort of pointed as something like this, which is, can be an explanation of what's going on. I don't have a schooling in my affliction. I don't know exactly what's going on with me, but there are people that may be suffering from mental illness or just have it. And maybe we're misreading the situation when people are sensitives and they're empaths and their feelings are so intense, they need help. They may really need medication. They may really need therapy, but we can't ignore that they may be going through something holy or spiritual or really very valuable. And we can't turn our backs on the person that says, I met Jesus Christ, or I was just talking to Gandhi, or, I'm Emily the cow. I mean, okay, come on, let's hear your story. Let's be open to it. We have all this stuff in ourselves. We don't understand. This is crazy. I do spiritual healing by instructing my brain to think about black jelly beans. I got rid of an ear infection. I don't get it, but it works. I'm a shaman. My son, the shaman. My mother would say, my son, the shaman. He's not a real doctor. He's a shaman. But I do this. I talk to people about visualization healing. I got rid of a tumor the size of a chickpea in my lung by working on it for 6 months. It wasn't cancerous, but they were like, what happened to your tumor? Where's your chickpea? I said, I got it. It was cool, man. So we don't know what we're capable of, but we have to, I believe, be open to it. And in that, I have something to say because I have experienced these things. I have intense spiritual experiences. They're incredible and they're beautiful. And some of them are dark. And I wouldn't begin to know how to tell somebody to have that experience, but I had it because I needed to get sober. Never had one before that. But I think there may be a technique. Meditation can open us up. Anyway, another question, sir.
Let's take one online. Leonard Lerman, go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes, Leonard.
Yes, we hear you.
Hi, Leonard Lerman. Thank you for staying with us this long. Hello, Leonard. How you doing?
Hello.
Hi, I'm right here.
I enjoyed your presentation on several levels.
Thank you.
I didn't know Robin Williams personally, but I knew a very dear friend of his very well, Christopher Reeve, who
wow.
I worked with at Cornell. In fact, they said later that I taught him to play Clark Kent because he was in a production playing a nerd for the first time in his life. But I wanted to relate to you another experience that I had, which is very similar to yours, but it took place 53 years ago. I played Mark Blitzstein in his autobiographical show, I've Got the Tune, at Lowell House. Leonard Bernstein was there. And afterwards at the party, I was fantasizing with a woman who was fantasizing that she was Mark Blitzstein's wife, Eva Goldbeck, and I was fantasizing that I was Mark Blitzstein. This was aided by tequila on my part and LSD on her part. And it was a really incredible experience, feeling that one is identifying so closely with someone who means so much to you, even though you never met them. And Leonard Bernstein later said, after I completed several Mark Blitzstein works and have performed many of them at the community church, as a matter of fact, Leonard Bernstein was quoted as saying, Leonard Lerman is Mark Blitzstein's Dybbuk.
The Dybbuk.
Yes, the Dybbuk is a spiritual story about the need to redeem someone who has passed away and carry out what that person would do if he were still alive. And that's what you're doing. That's what you're doing. You've got. When Leonard Bernstein said Leonard Lerman is Mark Blitzstein's Dybbuk, I can say that you are or have the Dybbuk of Robin Williams. I think that's pretty clear.
Well, cool. So for our friends that aren't Jewish, I did a play called The Dybbuk by Sholem Aleichem. From highest heights. A Dybbuk in this play.
I.L. Peretz is not Ansky. S. Ansky wrote. Ansky, not Sholem Aleichem. Sholem Aleichem wrote a lot of things, but Ansky wrote.
Okay, Ansky. Well, what I'm trying to say, I'm going to ask you a question, sir. Sure. Do you think this is a possession? Should you call this a possession? Or do you think people have a negative connotation of it?
Well, Dostoevsky would call it a possession, yes.
What do you think the average Joe thinks about the word?
Too. But as long as it's something that's healthy and not
benevolent.
I would go in favor of the Dybbuk, because the Dybbuk is something that is possessive in a sense, but it also has a social conscious aspect to it, which is obviously what is moving you and helping others that you're helping.
Well, something that's happening for us. Do you feel like the Dybbuk is still present with you, or did you let go, or did it let go of you?
The Dybbuk is still present with me. This past December, we went to Martinique, where Mark Blitzstein died, and we heard "Oh Holy Night" in the mass there. And he had attended mass there for John F. Kennedy's funeral in 1963.
Okay.
So yes, and I'm very seriously considering completing a work that he was working on there, The Magic Barrel of Bernard Malamud. It's a magnificent story, and he was making an opera out of it. And this would be the 22nd piece of his that I would complete. And yes, I still feel possessed by the Dybbuk, just as you do.
So I may be committed to this for a lifetime, but have you had the kind of experience? And we're going to move on to your question, sir, with the beard. We'll be right there with you. And I do have to move on because they're giving me this. You know, when people get tired of you, they just start to rub their face. And I can take a hint. I know what's happening. So anyway, so I'm going to move on to this, but I wanted to ask you, do you ever have the feeling that this Dybbuk is experiencing things through you? Because that's what I'm getting with Robin, that he feels the applause. He feels the connection with another human being. When I hug somebody, sometimes he's like, oh yeah, there's a feeling of living through me that I'm feeling. Do you get that? Have you ever felt that?
Yes, because there are many pieces that I have read that he actually performed, but they've never been written out. How could he have performed them? He must have finished them in his head. And when I finished them on paper, I think he's satisfied. Yes.
It's amazing because in the same way I've been writing in Robin Williams style, and when I write, all I can hear is either he's laughing, going, "No, I don't think so." You know, I don't know. That's out of here. But when he likes something, I can feel him roaring. So anyway, I've got to move on. I'm so
more power
pleased
to you.
Be able to talk to you. You too, sir.
Thank you.
Charlie, you're up, Charlie. Can I hear you, Charlie?
Hi, thanks for having me. I put this in the chat, but I just relate this quickly. I met Robin Williams when I was about 12 and he was about 9.
Oh my God, no way. Yeah. I heard he was real shy. This is what I understand.
He was an only child, and he lived right through the back of the house through my cousins. They had about 5 kids and dogs and everything. They had a crazy family. And he he virtually lived with my cousins for a number of years.
Oh my God.
And they lived in Chicago, and we went out there one summer for a couple of days. And one time I was lying in bed and this guy woke me up, and we started talking, and the one thing that I can remember distinctly is that he started, we were, searching for things in common, and he started asking about baseball. And that was the year that the New York Mets had just started, and I sort of had identified with them. They were the worst team in baseball. They lost 120 games. And meanwhile, the Yankees were, the Yankees, that was their prime time. And so he got talking about that, and I think he realized the sense, the underdog and the thing. So he ran and got the Chicago paper, opened it up, and my brother was a Yankees fan, and I mentioned that. And he ran over to my brother, and he said, the Chicago paper only had New York in each of the leagues. And so he ran over and said, "Hey, the Yankees are in last place and the Mets are in first." And and I just remember I wouldn't have thought to do that in 1,000 years. And
wow,
that's the type of twisted mind he had.
Yeah, a little bit twisty, but I heard he was terribly shy too, and it was hard to get him to. He played a lot alone with his soldiers.
Yeah, my
up with all
cousin
these little characters and things.
My uncle's a salesman who went to New York sometimes, and he would stop at this special toy store and buy toys, some toy soldiers for him, a special set that
the toy soldiers.
And he used to spend hours and hours just acting with himself with the cousins told me.
And the puppet too, don't forget the puppet.
Yeah, but And it wasn't until years later that I ran into my cousins again and that they told me that was Robin Williams. But I always remember that
Wow.
incident of the baseball.
I would have given anything to be a fly in the ointment right there.
Yeah.
That's not what I mean, is it?
It's
on the wall.
Fly on the wall. Not on the
I
ointment.
will. What would you like me to do? Thank you so much for sharing that. And I hope I could talk to you and perhaps buy the movie at beingrobinthemovie.com. And, you know, I'd love to hear about these associations because I never met him. I never actually met him personally.
Yeah.
So. Oh, cool.
Okay. Thanks.
That'd be great. I would love to talk to you more. I know I'm a little bit under the gun here. No, I'm Roger. Hey, thank you so much, Charlie. That's okay. What have you got? Do you have a question? Oh, far out. What's the other one? Oh, what dreams may come. Yeah, that is a little connection, both of those. I don't have an opinion on that. I like what Dean said. I think in certain circumstances, if an individual is suffering, it's a personal choice. But for me to take an overall opinion on that, I've never personally contemplated it. I always feel in my state of mind that there's always a chance to start over. But some people may be so sick that they can't go on. And I stay out of that debate. I don't know. Do you want me to read it or do you want me to just have it? That's okay. Do you want me to have this? What's your name? Okay, Eli, nice to meet you. Thank you. I'll give it a read. I'm open-minded, by the way. That's, I think, important for all of us to understand what this man has to say may affect me and others. And I don't take it lightly. You have something to say, I got it right here, okay? I will read your stuff. All right, I'm not gonna. Do you want me to read this out loud? Should I? Well, it's not anything threatening to the church. This is from Eli. I too suffer from mental illness, namely schizophrenia, undifferentiated type, a blessed gift bestowed on me wisely by God Almighty himself in his honor and the utmost respect, that I in love may the purpose for which I exist perform. May I perform the purpose for which I exist. So you are a servant and you're here to be of service to this situation. And I commend you for that. Truly. Thank you, Eli. And you're very brave for coming out and giving us your heart. Thank you. I think, does anybody else? Yes. Who's that with the question there?
I have a question.
I hear you, lady. What's your name?
This is Mary Lynn. I don't know why I'm not on the screen, but
you're coming through loud and clear.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe too loud. This is a borrowed Chromebook. I just got the coast. The coast has asked you to start your video. Start my video.
That's okay.
I don't know why that's on. Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay, I'm going to ignore the sign.
Yeah, we're good.
I just hit the layer thing. Anyway, when Robin speaks through you, or when you do Robin, I can really feel that love for him, and it's just amazing to me that there are so many people who didn't just admire him and really like him as an actor or whatever, but really fell in love with that man. And for me, it was like, I just recently, because of so much isolation with COVID and my age, went back and watched programs that I hadn't ever watched before, like Mork and Mindy. So when you talk, I can really see Mork coming through. But then I got into the later movies, and I wondered what effect you felt from the Robin Williams who played the lead in The Boulevard and Man of the Year. Very different person. And he didn't really care whether these movies made it or not. This was a social ethical obligation?
You are so, oh my God, this is such a great question because frankly, I've been watching a lot of Mark and Mindy, and I feel like that's an important thing too. But you see Robin's spirit all throughout his work. And in the end, Boulevard expresses something that as a younger, crazy, wacky guy, he didn't get to express, which was his, which is the truth of a human being. And watching him, Boulevard is about a man who's closeted gay for years until he finally acts on it and picks up a male prostitute who he just wants to, it's not a sexual thing, but he wants the company of a man. And it's painful to watch because he doesn't know how to do it, but he feels in a paternal way protective of this kid who's a street hustler. And he acts with all his heart and he wants to get it right as an artist. And this is a mature Robin Williams towards the end of his life. And the vulnerability and the skill to which he projects us. And the Man of the Year, I know Robin was probably not in the same place. I think that was one of his films that I could kind of go, yes. But this Boulevard was some of his best work because, and the same thing with, oh my God, Good Will Hunting. He stopped the shtick and he was just there. And that is something I worked on in this film too. When I let go of the shtick and I did the spirit, the one with the beard, and was just direct and didn't try to entertain anybody and just was present. And that's hard to do. It's hard to trust. But what comes through that, and I let come through me sometimes, is just the humanity and allowing that to be. And hey, I'm just trying to feel it right now so I can really project it, but it's tough because Robin's like, no, not right now. Let's just, just kind of wants to play. But
right.
You know what I mean?
But
I really identify with what you're getting at. And I did that in both characters in the film, the stand-up, which is him going, yes, look at Mr. Happy. And then, the spirit, that older, towards the end of your life, you're going to do and you're going to play things that you didn't get a chance to do. This is why I made the film, because I didn't get a chance to express this kind of thing. So I hope that answers your question. That's how I feel about Robin. I towards being a 60-year-old man, I had better get on with it, and do what I came here to do, and try to do some good too,
Thank you very much. I
thank you, Mary.
Appreciate.
I think we're done. Are we done?
Just about.
Any other questions? Yes.
One more, Steve.
Thank you, Mary. That's wonderful. Thank you.
I was really surprised, a few years ago, I found out that in the psychiatric community, it's like the insurance companies will not pay for any therapy or psychological help if the psychologist says that the illness was caused by the environment. And it makes me wonder, like how maybe a lot of mental illness is caused by the environment, but it's not being addressed. It's put some other label on it so they can get, the help that they need, because the psychiatrist can't talk to them unless they say that, it wasn't the environment, it was the individual's, something wrong with the individual. And I'm not saying all mental illness is caused by the environment, but I know you mentioned the onset of yours happened when your career fell apart. And I know in my life, my whole upbringing was taught that, if you go to college, you'll be happy. And I went through that, and all of a sudden I realized I didn't find anything in college I was interested in. And it really I had sort of a breakdown, but I felt like it was really caused by the fact that, I didn't find the society didn't really accept me for who I was. Teachers never really asked me what I was interested in. I was just going after good grades, and it's like I was lost. And I felt like, the environment caused my mental illness. And I think maybe your mental illness was more than just your career falling apart, but you did mention that was the onset of you. So I basically just want to know if you had any comments about how the environment could cause mental illness.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a great point. We'll end this talk on that point while I trip on the rug. Hello. Okay. Little rug dance. Don't be afraid. So I believe there was underlying conditions, chemical, biological, genetic, I'm predisposed to some kind of madness that runs through my family. It practically gallops, okay? So I can function. I remember being really depressed when I was a kid and needing stimulation, needing attention. There were elements of the environment. There was also something within me chemically that was off. So exhaustion, anxiety, depression, fear, all these outside things that are coming in, triggers that trigger an underlying condition. How the hell do you sort that out? I don't think it's possible. So if they can get to an underlying condition and prove that you are clinically depressed or clinically manic, which I don't know, maybe I just like attention, but I don't think so, because I can't stop sometimes. I can't stop robbing sometimes. You know, I can't stop feeling so much. It's explosive. It's nuclear, what I feel. I don't know if that's environment. I think it's something that I am just predisposed to. So an agile healthcare worker will be able to discern what the hell is going on with you and be able to say to the insurance companies, this is a predisposition. This is genetic. Yes, of course it's influenced by the environment. Somebody pushes your buttons, somebody triggers you, a trauma, you're going to respond like a chemically imbalanced individual. Hello? Does that answer your question? I'm sorry. I wanted to be so bright for you and smart. I'm not as smart as I wanted to be. I'm just a jerk. Nobody fits in. That's what's so beautiful about the human race. We're all misfits. I don't know anybody that fits in anywhere. I go to Alcoholics Anonymous 3 times a week. It's a bunch of misfits that all play well together. I love that about the human race. Nobody really fits in. If you ask anybody their truth, they're going to tell you that no matter how many boats and mansions they have, they're lost in some ways. They were traumatized as a kid. That's why they work so hard. You know, I don't know. I'm a shaman. I'm training intuitively. So I can't answer this any way scientifically, but I suspect that desire fuels healing. If one works at it and discovers the things within oneself that make it possible. So I'm exploring that within myself, and I'm starting to reach out to other people now and say, I may be able to talk to you about healing, because I desperately want to be a healer because of what I did when I was using. It's a living amends to the human race and people that I might have hurt that I don't even know where they are. So it's important for me to stand here in this church after a car accident today and say, you know what? Maybe I have something to offer. You know, in all humility, I'm just a creature, and I'm supposed to be here to do something other than to take drugs and hurt people. So I'm trying. I know that's more than your answer, but I hope you get what you're looking for, all of you, you know. I really do, and I love you.
Thank you, Roger. We just
I'll be selling the movie after when we're having coffee. I'll autograph copies of the movie. They're $10. Thank you.
coffee and a beautiful luncheon that's spread out in honor of Roger Kabler, and if David Dodson were here, in his honor as well. We thank both of you for making this space beautiful. It reminds me of a certain Brother Blue who spoke here in 2002, and I didn't mean to rhyme that, but it did rhyme. Brother Blue, whose wife, I was thinking of him, his wife, whose name I'm not remembering, just passed. And she was a lovely person as well. Brother Blue spoke here. The first thing he did was get on the ground and kiss the ground. This is a sacred place, he said, just because of, you know, what has transpired here over 103 years. And I want to say to both David and to Roger, you have further sanctified this place by your presence. And it's just such an amazing, wonderful thing that I hope we caught that on camera, but Roger just did the same. And That's the way we want to conclude here. And say thank you to all of you out there who tuned in on YouTube and Zoom, and all of you who are here physically present. We have a beautiful luncheon that I cannot attend because I am going to care for my 96-year-old mom who's waiting. I'm going to be a little late. Jay, that's my brother. I'll be there as soon as I can get to Andover. And Jay and family are going to Plum Island to take their puppy to see the ocean for the first time on the sad occasion of the passing of their older dog, who was named Strider. And so I'm going to be with Mom during that time. And on that note, we say goodbye to you all. Have a wonderful week. Do good work. Join us for Randy Credico next week. It's going to be an amazing program. He's fresh back from the embattled Yugoslavia and Russia. And we're really looking forward to hosting him here in our space in Copley Square. Bye, everybody.
Good show, Dean.
Our meeting is over. We must part, but I will love you
Goodbye.
in my heart. We will land on the shore, and we'll land on the shore, and we'll land on the shore and be safe forevermore. Bye, everybody.